and a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning. That's where you're listening. You're watching live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT as well. Very excited to be here with you inside of the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios, and we have an awesome show. Hour number one dedicated to supporting, appreciating, honoring Sean Tucker from Syracuse Orange football history. He's only 8 games into the season, and he's passed 1,000 yards this season. I believe he's at 1,060 coming off of the road win, 41-36 over Virginia Tech. He had already passed 1,000 all-purpose yards a game before against Clemson at home when he carried the ball 7 yards on the opening play of the game that got him 1,002 all-purpose yards at that point. And then he got to 1,007, past 1,000 yards rushing on his 28-yard touchdown in the game against Virginia Tech, also on the opening drive of that game. So he's, I guess he's just accustomed to getting it done early, getting it out of the way early. Opening drive of the game, 1,000 all-purpose. Opening drive of the game, 1,000 rushing yards. He's the first to do it since 2012 when Jerome Smith did it. Jerome Smith will be joining the show at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time to speak about his thoughts on the fact that somebody finally got to that record that he has had here of these last almost 10 years. And we're going to speak before that to Rob Drummond, a very good friend of mine who knows what it's like to not wear 44 and make your own way and pave your own way. So Rob will be joining us momentarily, then Jerome Smith. In hour number 2, you will hear from the 6 new additions to the American Athletic Conference. You will hear from representatives from UAB, Rice, North Texas, FAU, Charlotte, and UTSA as we celebrate the expansion of the American Athletic Conference that used to be Big East football. So we'll get into all of that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And now, as promised, Rob Drummond joins the show. Drum, how we doing?
Pretty good. How's it going, Dan?
It's going well, man. And, first and foremost for you and I going into the season, we were on site on location at Cafe Kubal, doing a live show out there in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street. And I kept saying to you, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And you said, I can't tell you, you're going to have to ask them. And they decided this year, in year 6 of Dino Babers, to finally heed the call from you and I and run the ball. What are your thoughts on the fact that they're finally getting back to something that looks more familiar to Syracuse football?
It's just running the ball just sets the tone for what an offense really is supposed to do. It puts teams, or especially offenses, in a situation to control the ebb and flow or control the complexity of the game and how the game's going to play out. When you run the ball, you make a statement. When you can push your team off the line of scrimmage as an offensive lineman and have running backs to drive the ball, or into your face, get 4 yards, get 5 yards, get 6 yards a pop. That's just demoralizing to a defense. Your opponent's defense, and then now it opens up so much more, and it gets your team so much more enthused for doing that. So I'm glad Syracuse is running the ball, and I'm glad Sean Tucker. That young man's a breath of fresh air, and a otherwise just what I would call just normal situation that Syracuse is going through right now. And by normal, I mean just what every other team is going through, in college football, which is a downtime. Alabama's down, Clemson's down. We can go on and on and on about the greats. Things happen like that. But it's just good to see this young man going out there and doing things that he's doing, and it's good to see the team going out there and running the ball.
Yeah, and being a former running back at Syracuse, I think it's important to note the fact that you could have wore number 44 and you chose not to. Why did you choose not to?
Because I love being my own individual self. I don't like following in anybody else's footsteps. The thing is, Floyd Letto, as was a great mentor and a great friend of mine. But I respect him enough to not want to be able to put myself in a position and have to wear his number. I wanted to make a name for myself. And I always feel the need to make a name for myself. I don't want to live in somebody else's shadow. Every time you talk about Jim Brown, the great Jim Brown, the great Floyd Little, the great Ernie Davis, I can go on and on and on with Michael Owens, and Rob Conrad, all the greats that have wore 44. That's all well and good, but I look at Walter Reyes, and Walter Reyes wore 39. One of my favorite runners at Syracuse, I can sit here and say Joe Morris. Joe Morris wore 47. One of the greatest runners at Syracuse. They carved and niched and carved a place in history for themselves. And I respect that so much more. It's not that I don't respect those guys, but I respect that so much more. I'll always remember, for the simple fact of being a running back at Syracuse, it's a brotherhood. And all those guys would tell you, it's like, it's not about a number you wear. It's about the individual and the performance you go out there and you put on, and wearing that orange. Sean Tucker will always be remembered as number 34 in the hearts and the minds and the souls of people who understand the game of football. They want to attach 44, the number 44 to him for the university. But 34 is his number for Sean Tucker.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, making, and I talked to you off the air about it this morning, is, do you want to wear, and listen, I love 44, and I love Floyd Little, and Ernie Davis, and Jim Brown, and Rob Conrad, and the history, and, and Floyd is one of my closest friends and will always be, wherever he is in heaven and on earth, he'll always be one of my closest friends, and I look forward to seeing him someday when hopefully I'm 100 years old. But, looking at him and looking at guys like Rob Conrad, who I befriended, I appreciate and respect these guys to the nth degree. And at the same time, Sean Tucker, 34, you 36, like you said, Walter Reyes, 39, Joe Morris, 47, those numbers hold weight too. Those numbers carry weight too. And I think in my head, as I told you off the air, how cool would it be for Sean that somebody 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road says, I want to come to Syracuse and wear 34 because Sean Tucker's my favorite player.
Yeah. I mean, it's a respect thing for me, and I respect those, those guys who paved the way for guys like me, guys like Sean Tucker, to go out there and be able to do the things we do. I'd have more appreciation. It's not that I don't have appreciation for the number 44 because I respect it. I'm from Syracuse and things like that. But it's like it's such an overhyped number at this point. It's like I'd have more appreciation for it. So like say this year before the game where they honored Floyd Little at halftime, the last game they played, the Clemson game, I would have had more respect if they had just. Or they just allowed him to, out of respect to the guys that worn it before, allow him to wear the jersey just for that game, and then donate that jersey to a charity or something. I was like, what a honorable, admirable, position for Syracuse to put themselves in. This young man gets a chance to wear the jersey of the greats. And now it's not just for the university, but it's also for a charity and it's also for a good cause. Also, how much more memorable is that as opposed to being now lumping Sean Tucker, with a group of great 44s. It's just they have to treat it more special than they're treating it right now. I feel they're treating it special right now because it's retired, and I respect that. But you keep telling this young man, you gotta wear it, you must wear it, it's gotta wear it. It's like he knows that, he understands that. He probably feels pressure to do that. But I still always see him as number 34 because if you lump him in with 44, he'll just become a name attached to a number. Because no one will ever surpass Jim Brown. No one will ever surpass Ernie Davis. No one will ever surpass Floyd Little. And those are the greats that wore the number 44.
That coming here this morning from Rob Drummond, Syracuse Orange football alum and a great friend of mine and someone that I respect and appreciate so very much. And he's here with us this morning speaking on Sean Tucker and speaking on the number 44. And, you brought up a point that I thought was really cool. We brought it up, Isaac Elford and I, in the post game of the Virginia Tech at Syracuse game where Syracuse won on the road 41-36. We spoke about that. We said, hey, why don't you bring it out and honor, somebody for a game, but it could be anybody. It could be, Andre Schmidt, the moment, in the game that he's going to pass the record of Nate Trout. It could be Eric Dungy in the Camping World Bowl. It could be, a wide receiver that's about to get the most yards and pass, like maybe he's going to pass Marvin Harrison, maybe, whatever it may be. But to honor it in that moment, to say, hey, Sean, why don't you wear it today as we honor Floyd Little? as you mentioned, and we talked about something like that, to bring out 44, but to have it really be Syracuse, to have it be a team number, maybe not just a running back number, but a team-centric number that's going to get a ceremonious kind of return, but something that doesn't have to be there all the time.
It makes too much sense.
Yeah.
It makes too much sense. I mean, I look at things now in this world of collegiate athletics, not just collegiate athletics, high school athletics, and athletics in general. And a lot of things that sits there leaving me scratching my head. I know, and not to get off the subject because Sean Tucker, it's a subject, and we'll stay the subject. But I know Dave Chappelle was one of your favorite artists, and I sit there and I listen to him sometimes, and I always sit here and say to myself, it's like, Dave Chappelle, as controversial as he may be, he makes sense. I sit there and I scratch my head, and I saw, after a few games, they wanted blood for Dino Babers. Then after a couple wins, Dino Babers was the greatest coach ever. So right now he's the greatest coach ever again. And I scratch my head and I'm like, oh my goodness, I live in a day and age where Coach Paul Pasqualoni was fired for going 6-6.
Yeah,
which is mediocre. But now we have a coach who you guys are cheering and applauding for, and he's a good coach and he should stay on. Who other than 1 year has done absolutely nothing. So I'm asking myself, what is it you want? I mean, what is it you're looking for? Is mediocrity like the ultimate goal now? Because Paul Pasqualoni gets fired for going 6-6, but Coach Baber, gets to stay on and gets to do whatever he needs to do, just being mediocre other than 1 year after 6. I'm like, what are you looking for? And it boggles my mind to sit here and think, what is it? What is good? I don't know what good anymore is. I know what good is because I lived it. I was a part of it. I lived in an undefeated team. I lived in a 10-3 team. I lived in a team that was proud of being nationally ranked and going to bowl games and having pride in themselves. And then I look at a team that's just so average. Granted, the players play with heart and soul. Sean Tucker is a heart and soul of that team. And I love watching him play for the simple fact that that kid gives you 110% every single play. And as a former running back myself, I can tell he's exhausted on some plays, but he's still going to give you all that he has because that's all that he knows, and I respect that. That's why he'll be successful. So you got to come to for me, you got to come to an even point by understanding what is acceptable. Is 6-6 what you're looking for? If that's a standard, okay, I get it. But why did you fire Coach Pasqualoni if that's a standard?
Right.
What are you looking for? Let us know what you're looking for. If you want Sean Tucker to go out there and rush for 2,000 yards, all right, put that young man in a position to have a great offensive skill set, but let him know this is a passing team. And you have to, this is a running team. But then you have to recruit accordingly. You're not going to get a lot of wide receivers in here at that point. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole lot of works and dynamics that need to go into what Syracuse has to do. If I'm a Syracuse recruit right now and I'm a wide receiver and I know Sean Tucker's on this team, I'm looking at other schools. That's just me being honest.
No, you know what?
That kid deserves the ball in his hand, and I know that. So as a receiver, if I'm trying to go out there and ball out, as we say, I'm not coming to Syracuse.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and maybe that's what Taj Harris saw. Maybe that was the writing on the wall for Taj. But you bring up a point that I've brought up plenty of times, which is how did you fire Paul Pasqualoni at 6-6? He wasn't good enough. You think about people forget looking at his records, and I'm going to remind you of his records here this morning, if I may, to take a look at what his coaching record looked like from season to season. This is Paul Pasqualoni at Syracuse, and I'm honored that I looked up to him for so long, and I finally got to interview him when he was at UConn, and I was covering the Big East, which was turning into the American. This is Paul Pasqualoni at Syracuse. His first season, 91, Hall of Fame Bowl win, 10-2, 10-2, 6-4-1, 7-4, 9-3, 9-3, 9-4, 8-4, 7-5, 6-5, 10-3, 4-8, 6-6, 6-6. So he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 straight winning seasons. Then he had 1 losing season and 2 seasons of 500. 11 winning seasons, 2 even, and 1 losing season. Well, Danny was trending downward. I look at this and I say to myself, Dino had 4, and this is not me attacking Dino. I'm stating a fact. 4 and 8. Right. 4 and 8, 4 and 8, 10 and 3 with Schaefer's players and his golden boy, or Lester's golden boy, I should say, Eric Dungy at 10 and 3. So 4 and 8, 4 and 8, 10 and 3, 5 and 7, 1 and 10. And now this year they're hoping to God to get to 6 and 6. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that Paul Pasqualoni did it and did it and did it and did it. And they said, you know what, Paul, you're not doing enough. And then Dino gets a raise after going 5 and 7. And then, believe it or not, folks, he gets another raise after going 1 and 10.
Again, like I said before when we were talking, what is acceptable? What is Syracuse looking for? I mean, I keep going back to, and you always remind me of it because I know Dave Chappelle is one of your favorite comedians. It's like when Dave Chappelle said in the skit, like with the 15-year-old kid, you know, what is acceptable for being 15 years old? You know, is it the kid who jumped off a bed, you know, and killed his friend who got life in prison, or is it the girl, 15-year-old girl who basically, you know, was a mile away from her home, you know, and wouldn't leave and would escape? You know, they criticized, and made justification of this kid. They tried him as an adult, but this young girl, they said, well, she's just a young child. You know, she didn't have well enough alone, you know, to leave and escape on herself and be on her own. So it's like, what's the difference? You know, what is acceptable? I just want to know, as a Syracuse University faithful, what is acceptable? Is 6 and 6? Acceptable? Because, I mean, it just seems like they're chomping at the bit, salivating for Syracuse this year to go 6 and 6. But then if that's the case, why did Coach Pasqualoni, during that back-to-back years, get fired?
Yeah, and I've asked that question, Rob. I've asked that question over and over again, and I've said pretty much, I mean, I think every season I've said to myself, they fired one of my favorite coaches of all time for going 6 and 6, and now they desperately just want to get there, and that's good enough. If they can claw their way to 6 and 6, it's a winning season. They consider themselves to be good, which is ironic because it's not a winning season. It's actually a 500 season. But, you know, for me, I ask myself that question every single season. Why did you fire Paul Pasqualoni? And now you think, now this is what it has to be. Just get to a bowl. Just get to a bowl. Just get to a bowl. But when Paul Pasqualoni did it, think about that. 11 winning seasons, 2 500 seasons, and 1 losing season of 4 and 8. Dino has had 4 and 8, 4 and 8, 5 and 7, 1 and 10, and 1 10 and 3 season with the guys that he did not recruit. Yeah. Like, it just makes me stop and sit here and go, what has Dino shown you that Paul Pasqualoni didn't?
You're preaching to the choir. There are a lot of things with Syracuse football I struggle with every single day. Just like that. I'll blankly just be sitting there and, just turn the TV off and just sit there and think. You know, for someone as a hometown kid who put his heart and soul into the university, who tried to do everything as far as community relations, so the city of Syracuse would be accepting to the university, and the university of Syracuse would be accepting to the city of Syracuse. You know, and it just, to me, it's just they do so many things the wrong way, and to not want people who could possibly bridge that gap to show you, all right, how it could possibly be done to be a part of it. It's just, I scratch my head. But I was telling my son the other day, because we were talking about Sean Tucker, and I was like, Raphael, at the end of the day, this city loves me, because not because I'm some arrogant, egotistical, go out there and try and prove that I'm tougher than anybody else, the best person, but because I care, and I care enough to go around and go to the Pop Warner games, go to the high school games, try and make myself a part of this community, because I am a part of this community. There's no relationship between the University of Syracuse and the city of Syracuse at all. Zero. Deion Mattis is trying, and I give him a lot of credit. And I'm going to help that young man as much as I possibly can. But it's just, I don't get it. I mean, like I said before, what is acceptable? I'm trying to figure out what is acceptable. I mean, I mean, just not to go off on a tangent, but I'm all right. Like the games I go to, when I was allowed to go on, well, they always give us passes to really go onto the field. And I went onto the field, and as I walk onto the field, as a former alumni, as a former legend of Syracuse, I said what's up to a bunch of players. They came over, shook my hand, showed respect, told them love, blah, 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 whatever. The coaches I met during that first day of practice that I went to, back in August, said blah, blah. And I remember making eye contact with Dino. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, you have former players coming over here, coming back to help you with your program. And he just waved and brushed me off like I wasn't even there. And I was like, that's his problem. That's what I said to myself. I was like, that's his problem. He doesn't acknowledge the past. That's his problem. And I swear, that's exactly what I said to myself. And he's like, and you wonder why guys are done. They don't want to be, they don't want to deal with the just. It's like, you didn't even, I mean, I'm not asking you to come over here and make a big deal of myself, because at the end of the day, honestly, dude, I mean, let's be real. I am Robert Drummond. I am Syracuse. Are you serious? You're Dino Babers. Once you leave Syracuse, you'll never come back again. I retired and I moved back here because I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
You're just, it's the stepping stone for you. And we, as the citizens of the city, know it. So you got to, if you don't want to embrace us, why the hell should we embrace you? Honestly.
No, and you bring up a great point. You bring up a valid point. You bring up a point that you and I have talked about for a while is, how do you build a successful program? And I've talked to coaches around the country about this, and they've said to me, what is he doing? In the sense of he's not recruiting locally, he's not bringing back alumni, he's creating for himself what a coach said to me was a recipe for disaster, and that reality of I don't go out to the games, I don't go see the kids, I don't recruit these kids, I don't call the former players, I don't have the former players come back in, that we don't have a relationship. How do you get a community to believe in you when you don't believe in their kids, you don't support them? And the thing is, like you and I talked about it, even if you don't recruit them, even if you don't give them an offer, why not just say to the best kids in the community, why don't you just, or to just do it in general, to just say, hey, you know what, tonight's CBA night, why don't you all come out to the game? Hey, tonight's CNS night, why don't you all come out to the game? And do things like today's JD night. Why doesn't JD come out to the game? So that at bare minimum, he at least says what you said he didn't do with you, that he could at least start doing with them, which is, I see you. I recognize you. I want you here. And to have Scott Schwades, to have Tim Green, to have anybody, I mean, for Tim, for goodness sakes, I'm sitting here, and I don't mean this in a mean way, I mean this in an honest way. If Tim Green wasn't sick, I don't think they would have ever honored him. And I
don't think they would have either.
And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Chris Gedney, they honored him after they fired him. I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's like, tell the story of the truth. Are you honoring these people because of the optics, or are you honoring these people because you appreciate them? And how do you build a successful program not understanding where you came from and who built the foundation that you're on? Dino, you wouldn't have a house to live in if Rob Drummond, Joe Morris, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, yada, 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 Jim Brown didn't build it for you. If Chandler Jones and Arthur Jones, if Rob Conrad, if Scott Schwades, if this building wasn't built for you, you'd have nothing to be in. The Dome isn't here because of you, Dino. The Dome is here because of them, Dino. The Dome is here because of the people, the 1959 championship. The Dome is here because of what came before you. You can't have success without understanding and appreciating and respecting where it came from. You don't invite Joe Morris back one time in 20 years. You invite Joe Morris back. You leave a ticket at will call every single game, and if he chooses not to come, then he chooses not to come. But if he wants to be there, his ticket's there with his name on it because he's Joe Morris and he deserves it.
You would think, she's like, and to Deion Maddox's credit, it's like, as former players now, we're always getting emails saying, like we have 2 tickets to every single game, and whether it be home game or away, and I mean, like, I don't know, like, the operations going on in there, but I know it has a lot to do with Deion Maddox. Also, the high school coaches in the Central New York area also get 2 tickets to every single home game. But the thing is, though, I mean, I didn't find out about that. I mean, I knew about the tickets for former players, but I didn't find out tickets about the high school coaches until about a week or 2 ago. And I'm like, that's something that should be publicized. At least you're trying. You know, it's like, why get me like that? Should have been like on a media blast, blah, 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 whatever, everyone. But you know what the problem is there? Again, there's no connection between the city of Syracuse and the University of Syracuse. It's such a disconnect, it's unreal. And someone like me, I could bring them together. It's not hard. I'm from the city of Syracuse. I'm a star in the city of Syracuse, not just at my university. My university is just where I did my work. But I was a kid in a city of Syracuse that did well, that made it to that university. So why don't you use me to help you? I don't need to make my name bigger. For what? I met Dino Waivers for the first time. What was their first practice? August 1st, August 2nd? That one day that Deion Maddox asked me to come back for that game and asked a bunch of former players. Ask me the next time when I've seen him again or I've actually been called to come up there.
You haven't?
Nope. And my former players, we talking chats and everything all the time. They're like, Drum, you think it's optics? You think it's for the media? I was like, you know what? I have no idea, but I'll find out. And I'll know when I get up there. Ask me the same question now. Is it for the optics? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you want me to say? You can't take away from who I am in the city of Syracuse. So whatever I say about the city of Syracuse University, it's not going to hurt me. It's going to hurt you with recruiting. It's going to hurt you with what you're trying to do for the city of Syracuse. I'm still going to be the beloved one here because I'm someone who was successful here, loved my city, and came back to be a part of my city. I was born in Syracuse. I'm not just Syracuse University. I'm not an outsider that came in and played at the university and just did whatever. I was born and raised here. I went to JD High School.
Now,
If I had hair, I'd be pulling it out.
I know, but I appreciate it, and you and I have talked about it. I mean, I didn't play. Listen, I was born and raised here. I came back here to start my company. I didn't play at Syracuse, but between the work that you've done and who you were, and Mike, and I'm not saying this from an ego standpoint, I'm saying this factual. The players that have been on my show, and I tell alumni all the time, there is not a single player that is not welcome on my show. I don't care if you had 1 down, 10 downs. I don't care if you had 1,000 yards. I don't care if you had 4. I don't care if you were the long snapper or the third string offensive tackle or if you were the starting quarterback. You know, and I know that I've had people on this show, and I will have everybody on the show. And if somebody goes, "Hey, would you have such and such on?" I'm always like, "Yeah, give me their number." So, and they thanked me during coronavirus. I had players come on and say, "Thanks," and I said, "For what?" He said, "Because we know that you're our voice. We know that we can come on your show and we can share our message and we can talk about if we're frustrated. We can talk about feeling disconnected. We know that through you, we can get our message out." And so, Rob, I think between the two of us, if we really wanted to establish with whoever the next coach or whatever it's going to be from here, I think you and I easily, because we care about people, could very, very, very easily have a bunch of people together sitting with us because they know you, they know me, and have that open discussion and that open conversation that Orange mattered back then, Orange matters right now, Orange is going to continue to matter, and we need to make that a priority. I can't make Dino care. I can't make anybody care. But what you and I have done is we've put ourselves out there and been very clear about who we are in the community and what we desire to be. It's not for you, it's not for me, it's for them. To me, it's for the Scott Freeneys. To me, it's for, the Jerome Smiths. It's for the Adonis Amin Moores. It's for the Eric Dungies. It's for the Riley Dixons. I want these players to be respected, appreciated, honored, valued, and known. And with you being a former player and me being a broadcaster, it's not going to be hard for either one of us to corral these people together because we do it in good nature all the time, that we would be able to have these conversations and to establish the fact that they want to be there. It's not that they don't want to be. They do want to be. And I think it would be fantastic. If I'm Sean Tucker and Joe Morris and Jim Brown and Rob Drummond and Mo Neal, who, gosh darn it, had 2,500 plus yards. I would love being Sean Tucker and having all the Jerome's. I would love it. And the optics of it for Syracuse should be easy for my next guest. To have Jerome Smith come to the next home game against Boston College and shake hands on the field with Sean Tucker. I did it in 2012. Nobody did it since me. Now you did it, young man. Wow. It's great to shake the hand of the next guy that I passed the baton to. Why is Jerome Smith not involved? This is easy. This is easy. Why do you think Jerome's on my show today? Because I know damn well he deserves to be. So how do they not know that? I don't get that.
You know what? Dan, I mean, like, but for me, even in my heart and soul, I used to talk about it with Mo Neal all the time. My biggest thing for that young man is I mean, like I said, I'm third on our list. I would love to have him be number one on our list. It's gonna be tough. He's got two great players ahead of him, but if it dropped me to number 4, it's an honor to drop to number 4 behind that young man. And what do you think that is? Yards per carry.
Yeah.
Yards per carry. If that young man throughout his career, because I'm third behind Jim Brown and Ernie Davis. If that young man can unsupplant me and move up ahead of Jim Brown and Ernie Davis, I was like, you're in great company, young man. Not because of me, but you're in great company because I feel I'm in great company. I won't say I don't deserve it, but it's like I feel like in awe of myself sometimes to be compared, with a Jim Brown or an Ernie Davis. And that young man can put himself in that same situation. And that's what I wish for him.
Yeah.
It really, really, truly is, because I see his work ethic. I see his desire. I see his drive. I see how that young man plays, and I respect that. But to be able to talk to that young man, I mean, I can't wait till the actual chance I get a chance to actually sit down one and just talk to him away from football. How's your life? How's everything going on? Do this, do that. Just to talk to him as a human being, regardless of the football player, because that mutual respect will be there. But just as a human being.
Yeah.
Who's I played 15 years professional. You don't think this young man wants to find out how the hell did I do that as a running back?
Yeah.
Who's headed in that direction?
I'd love to have you guys talk because I told you I compared you guys together, and
I've had so many people tell me that. Holy smokes!
No, I've compared you two because he's blue collar, you're blue collar. He's a lunch pail kid, you're a lunch pail kid. He don't care about the accolades, you don't care about the accolades. No. He wants to go to work, you want to go to work. He ain't letting nobody take his job, you ain't letting nobody take your job. He never stops, you never stopped. Like, I saw that I said it at the beginning of the year. I said, Sean Tucker reminds me of Rob Drummond. And that compliment is like, Sean, if you know how I feel about Rob, I got mad respect for you. So, to me, it's like comparing anybody to you, Rob, is my very easy way of saying, I hold you to the highest of standards. And so for Sean to look like that to me, I feel like I'm getting to watch one of my best friends run again. So I'm spoiled. So yeah, the day that I can get you and Sean in a room and I can record that, I'm going to be ready to pass out. Because that's two guys wearing their numbers, making their history, repping about sports, repping about life, talking about where they came from. Wouldn't it be nice to know a little more about the man from Owings, Maryland? Wouldn't it be nice to know what is Sean Tucker's favorite movie? What music calms him down? What does he love to do on an off day? Why does his family matter so much to him? Who's the biggest influence in his life? Who does he look up to? Does he have a faith? Does he believe in God? What does he want from his future? How does he define what a good man is? Who's asking those questions? Nobody. But I would love to. I would love to know Sean Tucker more than 1,000 yards. Because I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, Sean's proud of himself. Yeah, he feels good. But you and I know darn well, Rob, that we don't have the relationship we have because I talked about your stats. I want to learn about Sean Tucker, the man, because I want to get to know him while I have the chance to. I don't want to get to know him as a statue at Syracuse someday. I want to get to know him as the guy right now.
Sean Tucker is more than just a football player. It's what I always say to everybody. I'm so much more than just a football player. Get to know me as a person, and I would love to get to know that man as a person.
And coming from Rob Drummond, we always get heated. So, but it's always.
Sometimes the truth is real. And it honestly is. I don't. Me. I don't pull punches with anybody. There's nothing anyone can take away from me. The university can't take anything away from me. They could ban me from coming up there for the rest of my life, and I'll still be a part of the city. I'm still a part of the city of Syracuse. You can't take away the history of Syracuse. So if I speak my mind and you don't like it, oh well, that's that's tough. I mean, I'm not saying anything to be hurtful. I'm telling you the truth and what I see.
Well, some of the meanest people up there have the most access. So, I mean, I think telling the truth would probably be a breath of fresh air. So, and to me, I appreciate what you've done for this community. I appreciate what you do for the kids every day. I appreciate your rap system. I appreciate your training. I appreciate the fact that you got a bug in my ear telling me about this kid and that kid. I appreciate that you made those calls to Randy Etzel and Steve Adazio and consistently, and Paul Pasqualoni, trying to get these kids somewhere, that you told me about Stevie Scott well in advance, that, you speak truth and you care. So from me to you, from a naturally raised in Syracuse young man to another raised in Syracuse, and I'm gonna call you a young man, and I know you're good, but I'm gonna say from a man to a man, from a young man to a young man, that I appreciate and I respect the heck out of you, because you didn't give back to the community then running the ball. You gave back to the community then and now, and you have tried every single day to educate, enlighten, help, and promote the young men and women of our community. And that's going to be more than every single yard that you got, because if you get somebody else to get there, then that is you paying it forward. That is you leaving a legacy. That is you making the world a better place. Some people individually have success and then they die. You have individual success. You're trying to create you're trying to help other people find their own success. And by doing that, you're creating a culture of excellence. So from me to you, Rob, thank you for caring more about the community than yourself, and more about this world than yourself, because that is the legacy that you're leaving, not just with your sons, but with all of us. And I appreciate that. With that being said, you got to live another 50 years because I'm spoiled and I need my friend around.
You know what? Records are, I'll say this point. Records are meant to be broken. You know what? But the legacy I leave is what I mean. Like, and even the kids I talk to that I've trained, for the past 20, 30 years. Oh my goodness! And I always ask them. It's like, what is it you took from me? And they're always like, humility, hard work, always be kind to people, always do your best. It's like, it's okay to fail. Just learn from your mistakes. And I listen to them just spew up the things that I've always taught them. I was like, that's what I want to be remembered for. I don't give a damn about the whole Syracuse football and the and the stats and the 15 years. That's cool, but it's like, because that'll go from generation to generation to generation, because they'll teach the generation behind them the same things that I taught them. Yeah, and that's what I love. Why I do what I do.
That's Rob Drummond, Syracuse Orange football alum, NFL, CFL, and more importantly, and above all things, one of my best friends. Rob, I look forward to seeing you soon. And just as you know, you say one sentence to me, but you're the only person that says it, and it always brings me back if I'm having a bad day, and that's, "What's up, kid?" So I appreciate you, brother, and I thank you so much for all you do, and I thank you for the relationship that we have.
All right, tell Brother Jerome I said congrats, love him, and have a good show.
I will, man. I'll talk with you soon.
All right, bro.
Take care. That coming from Rob Drummond one more time here on Wake Up Call. We'll take a step aside. Jerome Smith up next right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Family-Friendly Sports Pub and Restaurant.